Reddit Stories Number 1.
My grandparents were both survivors of the Holocaust. They lived in Lodz, Poland, and when the Jews were forced into the Lodz ghetto, they moved to Warsaw, where they were married. After the Jews were forced into the Warsaw ghetto, my grandfather was sent to Majdanek while my grandmother remained and soon joined the resistance during the ghetto uprising. Acting as a courier, the beginning of the uprising was many years later described by her as the most beautiful day in my life. The ghetto was eventually liquidated and she was sent to Auschwitz. When British tanks rolled up and she was finally liberated, she found her way with the help of the Red Cross to a relative's house in Belgium and remained there, distraught in the knowledge that her entire family was dead and she could only assume the same for her husband. It had been 2 years since she had seen him. My grandfather was sent to work in a factory in Austria and upon liberation found his way back to Poland to learn that no one was left of his family. His brother did in fact survive the Holocaust, however, upon returning to his hometown in Poland, was killed by the townspeople when they found out he was Jewish. My grandfather had no idea what happened to my grandmother, but knew about the relative in Belgium and resolved to make it there. Unfortunately, he had no money and had to work in a coal mine to pay for travel. For months he worked in terrible conditions until a large rock fell on his head and he miraculously survived. That day he took the little money he had saved and started making his way across Germany to Belgium. Before the war, he was a printer by trade, and along the way to Belgium, he found a print shop and was able to make hundreds of small slips of paper describing my grandmother. As he traveled, he passed them around everywhere trying to find out if she was alive until eventually he arrived in Belgium, found my grandmother, and the rest is history.
Reddit Stories Number 2. My paternal grandfather emigrated from Aberdeen, Scotland, in the late 40s. He moved out into the Western Us, where he took a job working at a pear mill. He didn't have any education beyond about 7th, 8th grade level, but he worked hard and had a near-genius level ability to war on anything mechanical. He rose in seniority and prominence, and by the time he retired, slightly before I was born, was the highest-ranking and highest-paid non-manager in the mill. He could barely read or write, but could strip and rebuild a car in the course of a single weekend. He was an excellent woodworker, making all of his own furniture. Everything from coffee tables to the diner room chairs to 3 grandfather clocks. When I came along, as his only grandson, he felt it was his duty to teach me to be a man. He taught me how to bait a hook and how to fish, how to shoot a rifle, and later, how to hunt, how to drive a bass boat, how to drive a car, how to lay the piece of good hickory into my own baseball bat, how to use a draw shave. And he taught me the myriad components and intricacies of the internal combustion engine along with a lot of totally awesome Scottish swear words. He doted on his kids, making sure that all 4 not only got into college but graduated with good degrees. He further doted on his grandkids, all 5 of us. We constantly had great gifts for our birthdays and Christmas. Everything from Lego to handmade wagons to brand new stereos. He took us all camping regularly and loved the big family reunions held once a year. Grandpa got sick a few years ago. Started off as high blood pressure and spiraled into Parkinson's, cardiomyopathy, celiac disease, colon cancer, and rapid onset diabetes. But he never gave up. The doctors told him on more than one occasion, "You really should be dead, you know." He did just smile, slip his hood back on, and walk outside for a cigarette. Reddit Stories Number 3.
I could go on about realizing was insane later shit, but the truth is, I knew it was insane from day one. I was often in contact with other family members and kids from public school or sports teams or whatever, so my frame of reference was wide. I knew picking up my mom when I was 14 or 15 on my learner's license because she was drunk wasn't normal. I knew that her treating my sister worse than me wasn't normal. I knew her forgetting about any wrongdoing she ever did wasn't normal. I knew that being made to visit her friend Ivy never met who berated us for ever speaking out wasn't normal. We had pizza while her own daughter was allowed to drink beer at age 8 and I complained I had homework to do and it was a school night and both of them bitched at me for being disrespectful. I was too scared that I would have to drive us home again, on my learners again, with a drunk person and my sister in the car. I ended up getting home late, was scared shitless cause I wasn't supposed to be driving without an adult in the car, and the one I had was drunk. I remember denying fetching her wine because my dad said I wasn't supposed to give her any, and she broke down the drywall to get into the room. She did this on multiple occasions. She cut through it with a saw once too. We had to reinforce the wall with 2 X4S to prevent her from doing it again. She would break dishes if I refused to get her wine, and she would physically threaten people if she was holding her steak knife. She once tried to break down my door with a cast iron skillet for some unknown reason I still don't understand. She would verbally abuse and emotionally embarrass me, and my sister got it worse somehow. She wants people to always take pity on her, and now she worships Trump and wants to stop talking about the man. I think it is safe to say she has been insane for a while. The stories go on and on for her, like her paying a scam artist to clear her IP so the terrorists wouldn't come and kill our family, or asking me to find the demon in the picture behind a certain politician, or asking my sister to run over a Muslim she saw while driving her to get her anti-seizure medication. The list is just endless.